Hello everyone, welcome back to the Tensei Slime Light Novel Summary Series on AniMonolith. Picking up from last time, while Guy, Rimuru, and everyone else were chatting about the abilities Veldanava once possessed, the topic shifted to Rudra and Michael. I knew Justice King Michael had the power to dominate others, but it turned out to be even stronger than I expected, Guy admitted. He paused, and Rimuru felt Guy staring at him. You knew this, didn't you, Rimuru? Rimuru wanted to play dumb, but there was no point lying now. He also hadn't properly explained the ultimate dominion earlier, so hiding anything would only make the situation worse. So Rimuru told them everything. His battle with Rudra a few days ago, how both Velgrind and Veldora were taken over, and how close he was to losing. Of course, he didn't mention his failed backstab attempt. I see, Guy replied calmly. That irritated Rimuru. You pushed me into this mess. It wasn't just a fight with Rudra, it turned into a full-scale war. But Guy couldn't care less. Ha 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 ha, it's fine. You won, didn't you? No, it's not fine at all. Ramirez Labyrinth was destroyed by Velgrind. The area around my town was burned to nothing. Sure, reconstruction is going well, but I swear I'll never accept another request from you again. Rimuru blew up partly to make sure Guy didn't drag him into another ridiculous job. Guy then cut straight to the point. So, what's your conclusion? Rimuru corrected himself. Earlier I said they were influenced, but let me phrase it properly. Michael's ultimate dominion gives him absolute control over anyone who holds an angelic ultimate skill. Everyone was shocked. Awakening an ultimate skill means your will is iron strong. To think that even such people could be controlled so completely felt like game hacking. Still, Rimuru insisted it was true. Both Veldora and Velgrind, despite being true dragons and ultimate skill holders, had been overtaken by Michael. Even remembering it gave him chills. Guy then confirmed it. Velgrind has Charity King Raguel, and Velzard has Patience King Gabriel. At that point, Rimuru finally understood what had happened inside the ruined castle. As unbelievable as it sounded, Velzard had been taken over too. His worst guess had come true. Dagruel reacted immediately, clearly upset. Given how long he had known Velzard, he knew exactly how terrifying she could be. Rimuru only knew she was dangerous, but not how dangerous. It was impossible for him to accurately judge her threat level. He asked Guy, just to be sure, did you defeat her and lock her away somewhere? Guy looked at him like he was crazy. Rimuru, do you really think something that convenient would ever happen? So, no. Rimuru's wishful thinking was completely crushed, which made him even more annoyed. This sucks. Michael's team now includes Velzard, Rimuru muttered, and everyone shared the same sinking feeling. Even Leon looked distressed. Luminous also wore a grim expression. That reaction made perfect sense. Velzard joining Michael was a disaster. Still, Rimuru pointed out that Michael hadn't tried to fight Guy directly, which meant he likely couldn't defeat them yet. And then Malim, because of course it had to be Malim, cheerfully shouted, Don't worry! 7 of the 8-star demon lords are still here, and everyone else is strong too. Let's go wild and show them what we can do. Rimuru could only sigh. There was definitely something off about people with true dragon blood. Everyone already understood that the situation was dire after learning Velzard had been influenced. But Guy still had more bad news. When Luminous asked whether there were only 7 angelic ultimate skills, Guy shook his head. He explained that even he did not know the full number. During his battle with Veldanava, he could not see the limits of the Creator God's power. Veldanava had told him only about the 7 virtues and mentioned that he intended to grant each of the 7 primordial angels a special ability. The room fell silent. Adding 1 skill for each primordial angel to the 7 virtues meant there were at least 14 angelic ultimate skills. Dagruel realized something. If there were 14, then Veldanava must not have distributed them all. Guy confirmed this. The primordial angels of that era had very weak egos. Some could not withstand the burden of an ultimate skill. For that reason, Veldanava had given Velzard the Patience King Gabriel and Velgrind the Charity King Raguel. He also granted abilities to the angels whose egos were strong enough, but he released the rest of the unused skills into the world. Veldanava kept the Justice King Michael for himself. Later, he traded it for the Covenant King Uriel, which Rudra then inherited. After Veldanava's death, Uriel disappeared into the cycle of reincarnation and eventually manifested within Rimuru, before being merged into Velgrind's divine flame king Cthugha. Rimuru decided he would never explain how he got Uriel. There was no reason to expose everything. With the pieces now fitting together, Rimuru summarized the situation. Angelic skills were pure creations, of Veldanava. There were likely at least 14, and anyone who awakened one would inevitably fall under Michael's ultimate dominion. Guy agreed. Luminous then asked what Rimuru was about to ask himself. If that was how angelic skills worked, what about demonic skills? All eyes turned to Guy again. He admitted it was not a simple question, but answered calmly. Guy explained that he gained the unique skill pride after being defeated by Veldanava. By observing Veldanava's pure power and trying to imitate it, his own skill had been born. Skills could emerge from personal desire, especially when rooted in the soul. Skills tied to the body or spirit could be inherited or stolen, but those engraved into the soul were powerful and nearly impossible to take away. Ultimate skills were almost always soul-level powers, which was why very few beings could handle them properly. Luminous wondered if her lustful king Asmodeus was just a degraded copy, but Guy denied that idea. A skill born from one's will and desire could be as strong as its angelic counterpart. His own pride had evolved into Pride King Lucifer, a power comparable to the angelic system. Ultimately, willpower decided the outcome. Given that angelic skills numbered at least 14, Rimuru concluded that demonic skills should match that count. Guy agreed. Just as demons came after angels, demonic skills were born after angelic ones, mirroring their structure. Guy then listed his predicted pairings between the 7 virtues and their corresponding deadly sins. Pride King Lucifer, with Covenant King Uriel; Justice King Michael, with Wrath King Satanael; Knowledge, King Raphael with Gluttonous King Beelzebub Hope; King Sariel with Sloth; King Belphegor Purity King; Metatron with Lustful King Asmodeus Charity; King Raguel with Greedy King Mammon; Patience; King Gabriel with Envy King Leviathan. Rimuru was stunned. Several of the skills on that list, such as Raphael, Uriel, and Beelzebub, had been absorbed or sacrificed by CL already. People fought their whole lives for a single ultimate skill, yet Rimuru's had been consumed and rebuilt without hesitation. Revealing this would cause an uproar, but hiding it entirely also felt risky. CL offered no advice, staying completely silent. Rimuru decided to wait and see, choosing to act depending on how the situation unfolded. After Guy's explanation about the skills, Rimuru added an important detail. Every angelic ultimate skill has a built-in mechanism called a control circuit. Anyone who possesses such a skill becomes unable to resist Michael's absolute commands. Rimuru knew this because CL had personally intervened to erase that control from within Velgrund. Rimuru also pointed out that Dino's betrayal was very likely caused by the same control circuit, so he warned everyone not to treat Dino as an ally if they encountered him again. DeGruel agreed, noting that although Dino might seem unreliable, he was far stronger than most people assumed. Luminous, however, was more worried about the bigger picture. If Velzard had already fallen under Michael's control, then it was possible that Velgrund had as well. Rimuru wanted to play dumb, but since Ramirez already knew everything, hiding the truth wasn't an option. He prepared to explain the situation, but Leon cut in before Rimuru could speak. Wait, Velgrund's situation isn't the main issue right now. What we should be doing is checking whether anyone else among us possesses an angelic skill. Leon's statement immediately brought the room to attention. That, without a doubt, was the most critical problem of today's meeting. If anyone here had an angelic skill, they could be dominated by Michael at any moment. Guy looked pleased that Leon had said what everyone else was avoiding. Rimuru understood the weight of it as well. Bringing up this topic meant risking distrust among friends. The only way to move forward was for everyone to be honest about their own abilities. And with that, the meeting shifted into its most serious phase. Guy agreed as well. After all, this was the most important issue of the entire meeting, and the one Rimuru was most concerned about. An ultimate skill is each person's trump card, something meant to be hidden at all costs. Revealing it could create serious disadvantages, especially if the enemy learned its strengths and weaknesses. Not to mention, if Rimuru openly disclosed his 2 strange skills, along with the complicated explanation of where they came from, the other 6 would be left speechless. And with Michael's ability to enforce absolute obedience, everyone needed to know whose skills were safe and who might be vulnerable to manipulation. They couldn't risk the possibility of an internal spy leaking crucial information. Because of that, 2 people had already revealed their ultimate skills. Luminous, Lust King, Asmodeus; Guy, Pride King, Lucifer. Both were clearly Demon Lord system skills, so they were eliminated from suspicion. Next was Remoris. Both Guy and CL confirmed that her ability was a special kind of innate power, not something granted by Veldanava, so she was automatically excluded as well. Ha ha ha. I'm different. I don't even understand my own power. Of course, that was Milim. She never paid much attention to her skills anyway. Rimuru quickly reassured her. The overwhelming ultimate skill Wrath King Sataniel was clearly the counterpart to Justice King Michael, meaning it wasn't under angelic control. Even if Rimuru didn't fully understand the Sataniel abilities yet, he was certain they weren't part of the angelic series. De Gruel spoke next, saying that, like Ramirez, his power was something he was born with rather than an ultimate skill granted by the system. The room fell silent as everyone tried to judge whether he was lying. I believe you, Da Gruel. Milim was the first to speak. Rimuru followed, feeling no deceit from him. Besides, if someone with Milim's intuition trusted Da Gruel, there was no reason for Rimuru to doubt him. Guy, Ramirez, and Leon also voiced their trust, leaving only Luminous. Tch, I'd love to take Da Gruel down right here and now, but I'll let it go this time. Rimuru knew Luminous and Da Gruel didn't get along, but even so, there was still a strange sort of mutual trust between them. With her reluctant acceptance, Da Gruel was finally cleared. Now only two people remained, Rimuru and Leon. Let's have a separate video about that. Now, thank you for listening. Bye and see you again.